Hello everyone, my name is Domoniq Demic, and today I will be doing this reading about this famous speech called I Have a Dream by Martin Luther King. I chose this speech because I am an African American person myself, and I can understand what Martin Luther King Jr. is saying with this speech. So let's get started. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolistic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree has come as a great beacon of light, of hope to millions of American slaves who have been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro is still not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro still lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in an exile in his own land. So we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of construction of the Declaration of Independence, they are signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall here. This was the promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, will be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and in the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check. A check that has been backmarked as insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe the insufficient funds of the great vault of opportunity of this nation. So we have come to cash his check. A check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or taking a tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of injustice, racial, to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This sweltering summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until an invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. And those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and be content will have a rude awakening that the nation returns to business as usual. And there will be neither nor rest or tranquility in America until Negro is granted a citizenship of rights. The whirlwinds of revolt will continue to shake the foundations of our nation until the bright day of justice emerges. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on warm thresholds which leads into people of justice, of the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creativity to protest or to degenerate into physical violence again and again. We must rise to the majestic heights of our meeting physical force and with soul force.